Hi there, my name is Carol Duffy and I am a senior play therapist in Tusla in County Mayo. So last year I worked with the Child and Family Network Coordinators as part of the Parenting 24/7 programme, and I delivered some workshops on the use of play at some parent talks that were run around County Mayo. And they were a really positive experience where we got to share and discuss the importance of play together with parents and professionals from the community. And we got to have some experiential learning and got to actually play with some of the toys that are available, like these here. But unfortunately, times have changed for so many of us, and the opportunity to engage in those kind of workshops isn't as easy as it once was. So we had to become creative, and we thought that maybe a nice way to connect and communicate and share some of those play ideas and talk to you about the importance of play in the context of your parent-child relationship might be to try it online. So it's a new venture for me. I certainly find the use of technology an interesting challenge during this time. It's certainly been one that has raised my stress levels, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. To start off with, is the power of play and how it can really mitigate against stress and how it can really promote strong anti-anxiety systems to develop within ourselves and our children. Because play has some very powerful therapeutic powers available once it becomes active. Over my years of training and working as a psychotherapist who uses play, I've had the privilege to have trained and learned from some of the world's leading professionals in the fields of play, trauma, attachment, and neurobiology. And two wonderful people that I have had the benefits of learning about is Charlie Schaefer and Schaefer Drewes, and they identified 20 therapeutic powers of play that have the potential to become activated once play is active. And interactive play is a really powerful way for that to happen. Now, that leads me on to another thing that I'd like to talk to you about, which is, what does play look like? One of the benefits and one of the positive things that have happened during the COVID-19 pandemic is that people have become so generous. They have shared so many ideas and resources on play and playfulness and play ideas for parents to use and engage with while they've been at home and while their children are at home with them and while nobody's been able to leave. And that has been wonderful. But I noticed an undercurrent in that, and I noticed it for myself as well, that sometimes the play didn't feel playful for parents. I heard parents describe to me, well, I tried to do that, but it didn't work out like that. Or it just felt really stressful, or I didn't have the time, that just seemed so big and overwhelming, and I thought, oh, I'll do it next week, and next week I didn't get to do it, and I kept putting it on the long finger because it just seemed too complicated. And I really want to talk to you about what play actually is. Play is joyful. If it's not playful and promoting positive emotions, which is one of the therapeutic powers of play, then it really isn't play. Nobody wants to play with someone who isn't having a good time. And if the play is generating stress, then again, it's not play. So if you started off by trying to make a salt dough creation to mark your lockdown experience, but it ended up in a puddle, but you had fun, then you still were engaged in really powerful play. The objective behind play is not necessarily to produce a wonderful product or window art that could find itself in a museum. It's to enjoy yourself and to enjoy your child and have them know that they're being enjoyed and they'll enjoy you back. When you do that, you move into a co-regulating experience. You really boost oxytocin, which is a hormone that really promotes bonding. And bonding is the undercurrent of attachment. And attachment is the relationship that we try to develop with our children, where they feel a really strong sense of security. And a strong attachment is cited in so much research and studies as one of the most prominent, and sometimes the most prominent factor that promotes a child's healthy development. Play supports a child's healthy development. In fact, the development of a child's play maps and is parallel to their nervous system's development. So we also know that when children don't have access to a lot of play, their development can be quite seriously impacted. And we also know that when children have access to play, it can really buffer and mitigate against stressful experiences that they might be being exposed to. And that's a really important aspect to consider because we have it available to us. It costs nothing and it doesn't need to cost anything. You don't need to have a big, huge variety of expensive toys to engage in positive, playful moments with your child. What I'd like to talk to you about over this series of videos is how you can use what's in your kitchen cupboard, what's available to you right here and right now. And the most powerful tool that you have available to you, the best toy that you could possibly present to your child, is the availability of you. And the good news is that when we play playfully with our children, it regulates your stress as well. But playfulness, even for those of us who study and work with play all the time, as I said, it's underused and it's often overlooked. And that is because we often get hijacked by our many to-do lists or other stressors. And stress can actually hijack our capacity to play. So I've been lucky enough to have had the experience of some yoga classes. And one of the things I loved about yoga is that they always described the yoga practice. We're going to practice yoga together. So I think it would be really good for us to borrow from that mindset and use it in the same way towards play. We can practice being playful. It doesn't need to be for extended long periods of time because that often frightens parents away because they think I have so much else to do. How do I have time for that? But a brief few moments, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of play that's fun and joyful with your child can be really powerful. And it's a really positive injection of positive emotions. Positive emotions is another therapeutic power of play. And positive emotions is something we really need to consider heavily in our parenting and in all aspects of our life. Positive emotions is our brain's strongest anti-anxiety system. Positive emotions can really counter-condition stress. Again, this is another therapeutic power of play. When we engage in positive feelings, what that does is it improves our capacity to problem solve, to imagine and to be creative. It manages our stress because those joyful emotions counter-condition those stress feelings. So engaging in playfulness has many benefits, and seeing is believing, but we need to practice it. In the same way as if you're really hungry and you skip lunch, your nervous system, your core state regulation is going to be not so hot. And if any of you have seen those Snickers ads, you'll know what hunger is, and it's a real thing. So you wouldn't negate your own body's need for rest or food or water. Playfulness is something that we actually need as human beings. We have circuitry in our brain that was discovered by a man called Jack Panskep that has shown us that we actually have circuitry embedded in our brain. So the need for playfulness is built in. It promotes our social competencies. And like I say, and this is the key feature that I'd like you guys to remember, it counter-conditions against stress. It promotes positive emotions. And it can inoculate us against future stress as well, which are key features that we want for our children. And I'll finish on this note. As parents, we don't want to eliminate our children's big feelings. They teach them important things about the world. We need to support them to manage those big feelings, to recognize them, to develop emotional fluency and literacy so that they communicate them more effectively. And they don't need to rely on challenging behaviours to create in you the turmoil that they're feeling. Because through playfulness, they have developed a language to be able to communicate it to you. And through playfulness, they've counter-conditioned those stress hormones and they've experienced positive emotions, which has increased their capacity to think about new ways to manage those big, big feelings, which can, will, and do happen on a regular basis. So my signing off point for today is that I'd like you guys to consider how, when, and where you can boost just a few moments of joyful playfulness with your child. And just notice how you both feel after those few moments. And remember, I can do it. You can do it. Put a bit of magic in your life, like this little guy. Put a bit of magic and joy in your life and discover how playful you can both be together. And when you do, just stop and notice, how do I feel now? And how does my child feel now? And how do we feel together? And I don't need to know, and nobody needs to know, if you've created some amazing structure out of cardboard. But so long as you're smiling at the end of it, then you've engaged in a really powerful experience of play that is literally brain building. So have a go, and I'll see you next time with some play ideas.